Hi everyone. We're in Jacques Ellul's Subversion of Christianity. Now we're in the chapter Political Perversion. The subhead is Subversion by Power. Ellul says for the last 30 years, and this would be 1984, so from the 1950s onwards, for the last 30 years in Protestant churches, Constantinianism has been accused of being a source and cause of all the errors and deviations in Christianity, as though it were the author of all evil. This assessment reverses the traditional glorification whereby Constantine, miraculously converted, brings the true faith to triumph against paganism and heresy and enables Christianity to expand in every area with freedom to preach throughout the empire and no fear of further persecution like the most recent one under Diocletian, which was the fiercest of all for Christians, just after the year 300. Historians have rightly scrutinized this supposed conversion of Constantine. It is not being anti-Christian to question seriously the truth of this conversion, like that of Clovis later. It has been shown quite impartially that such conversions accord so well with skillful politics that one may find political as well as religious motives for them. A need existed to rally as many supporters as possible, and the Catholic Church represented a considerable body of people. It was a shaper of opinion. Who carried the most weight in the army? The provinces. Pagans, heretics, or Catholics? Constantine gambled on the Catholic Church and won. All this is very probable, but it has no direct bearing on our own inquiry, for we have to place ourselves within the Church and the faith. We are not asking whether Constantine's conversion was sincere, but how it resulted in a perversion of Christian truth. This leads us to the actual story of the conversion, the famous vision of the cross in the sky, with the celebrated words, in hoc signo vinces, and the command of Christ to make a special flag, the labarum. By the way, that Latin, if I remember correctly, translates something like, in this sign or symbol conquer. Bearing the sign of the cross, the labarum. That's the special flag we're talking about. All this took place before the Battle of the Milvian Bridge against Maxentius in 312 AD. It is futile to refer to Constantine's past, to his exceptional cruelty in war, for example, the atrocities in the war against the Goths, to his readiness to put even his own father-in-law to death. This was all in line with current practice, and after all, it is not saints that God converts. The conversion might have been authentic, even admitting such things, but the actual story of the conversion bears witness to the profound corruption of the gospel. Much of the perversion has taken place already. For how is it that the cross, an instrument of punishment, especially for slaves, and the sign of a historical defeat for Jesus on the human level, can now be presented as a sign of political and military victory? The cross signifies salvation by attesting to the love of God going even to death for us. It has this meaning and no other. It cannot possibly be a sign of military victory. Above all, it cannot be a sign given by a powerful political leader. What the cross signifies is the weakness and humility of God. Throughout the Old Testament, we see God choosing what is weak and humble to represent him. The stammering Moses, the infant Samuel, Saul from an insignificant family, David confronting Goliath, etc. Paul tells us that God chooses the weak things of the world to confound the mighty. Here, however, we have a striking contradiction. In Constantine, God is supposedly choosing an Augustus, a triumphant military leader. This vision and this miracle are totally impossible, but they are not impossible in the context of a Christianity that is already off the rails, that thinks of God as the one who directs history and is the motive power in politics. Superficially, this might seem to be in line with the Old Testament, where we do see God intervening in historical events and supervising the monarchical succession. Much might be said on this point. In the Jewish Bible, however, God is never shown intervening in history except with reference to his people, the people of Israel. What we are told is that he leads his people. But he also gives them considerable latitude and real possibilities of autonomy. The God of history is no more the engineer of history than of nature. He does not drive history as a chauffeur drives a car. We are never told that Chinese or Aztec history is manipulated by this God of Israel. Such a view is seen to be the more mistaken when we think of the declaration of Jesus that his kingdom is not of this world. Here, in Constantine's vision, the God of Jesus contradicts this whole revelation. The kingdom of Jesus is of this world. It has to be set up by political power. It has to be installed by a military victory. This is quite unheard of. A political and propaganda campaign is now underway, but the result is a disaster for the church and the faith. From the standpoint of revelation, we have every reason to cast doubt on the whole miracle of Constantine. What about this miracle of Constantine? That's in the next segment. We'll link to videos we did on the nature of God's self-revelation and what he taught the people of God in the patriarchal period. Does he desire organism? Does he desire organism or organization among the people of God? That's linked right here at the end of the video.